This is Digital Edge's Technology Breakdown. Today we will be talking about modern cybersecurity challenges and the zero trust concept. With the industry's move for remote working, challenges to secure working environments become more and more frequent in conversation with our clients. So, let's begin with a short history on the subject. We start off with basic offices, where people need to get HR approval, receive an access card, and then come to work. IT started forming something we call security perimeters. We were assuming if people came to work, physically worked at a desk with a computer attached to a local area network, then that user is trusted. All infrastructure was sitting inside of the office. Then, offices started to be connected to the internet, interconnected, applications became more complex, and users' activities became diversified. Firewalls were gatekeepers of the communication and security. To manage users and their roles in the organization, directory services were introduced. Directory service, in simple terms, is more or less a database of users, groups, rights, and encrypted passwords. Companies then increased their complexity by introducing data centers. Offices and data centers speak through encrypted tunnels. Even though companies operate in multiple locations and in the cloud, we still had a notion of perimeters. We were holding those perimeters tight. That centralized directory service was playing its role for user authentication and authorization. Then, we started working from home. But when connecting from home, it still went through a secured VPN channel to those security perimeters. Companies were able to hold their perimeters tight. That is the paradigm of a traditional company. Nowadays, newer companies aren't going through that transitioning process. With the move to the cloud and software as a service model, modern companies realize that they don't need to purchase the technology and they can just lease it. Instead of forming those security perimeters, they can just purchase services from different providers. Accounting software, sales software, customer databases, project management software, and the list goes on. All of it doesn't have to sit inside the perimeters. Companies are assembling their application stack out of diversified vendors without worrying about their security, as each software vendor is supposed to provide their own form of security. All company users can just connect to the applications and do their work. This is how the zero trust concept was introduced. The zero trust principles. Number 1, all resources must be individually secured regarding location. Number 2, strictly enforced access on need-to-know basis. Number 3, all traffic must be inspected and logged. But here's a silly question. How do you form a company out of all of those dispersed users? It might sound silly as you still pay a salary to all of your employees. However, what does that mean in terms of hiring, for example, an accountant? You have to create a user in QuickBooks Online, but then your accountant needs access to your quotes, and you will have to add that user to Salesforce. And each time a role or a function changes, someone in your organization has to track the new logins to all of the applications used in your application stack. When an employee is terminated, the whole chain of access grants must be unwound. So, how do you centralize user management? How do you make it so that it is not cloud application centric, but to your own company organizational structure centric? To put the security in your organization centric to your structure and enable you to manage your users, you need to know 4 things. Number 1, know your data. Number 2, know your apps. Number 3, know your users. And number 4, architect for simplicity. There are multiple solutions available today for such centralization in a highly decentralized paradigm, but the specificity of implementation depends on your current situation. Another big concern that cybersecurity engineers have is the balance of company security, personal privacy, specifically when users are using their own devices. Nowadays, users don't need to use company-provided hardware and are comfortable to do work on their own devices. However, IT security wants to lock down the user, so if a user has access to your client's database, a virus on his laptop will not be able to steal or crypto-lock the data. To keep the balance between personal privacy on personal devices and corporate cybersecurity measures is a challenging task. The solution lies not in a single IT or cybersecurity dimension. HR, legal, risk, and cybersecurity must work together to create an appropriate setup. That's it for this video today. If you have any questions about the zero trust concept or would like to find out more, be sure to visit our website at www.digitaledge.net and be sure to follow all of our social media as well as subscribe to our newsletter.